Hi YouTube, it's Kathy, and we're here today to do something I haven't done in quite some time, and that's a book tag. This time we're doing the Quarter-Year Crisis book tag. This is a book tag that came out 2 years ago, and I meant to do it that year, and I meant to do it last year, and then I had a calendar notification telling me I should do it this year, and I figured, okay, I have the time, I better sit down and just do it now. I haven't looked at the questions, so this might be bad, or it might be delightfully entertaining how much I can't think of a single book I've read this year. Question 1 is, how many books have you read so far? And that one, and most of these questions, I'm sure I can actually answer with my spreadsheet. I do have to open it though, so coffee, loading. So far this year I have read a total of 43 books. Kathy from editing here, make that 42 books because I misread my spreadsheet. I have 2 on the go, but obviously I haven't finished those, so they do not count. There is a part of me that feels like that sounds a little bit low because in previous years I've read as many as 269 books in a year. However, I'm traveling and I've definitely slowed down my reading in general, so that sounds okay. The only thing I'm at all concerned about with that number, I do have a cross-stitch project waiting at home where I've made this shelf that can hold up to 200 books that I'm going to individually cross-stitch in based on the genre. And the only thing that this number makes me think is I may have a lot of extra space on those shelves by the end of the year. But also, when I get home, I'm pretty sure I'm going to be reading more because I'll just have more time to do that because I won't be traveling and looking at cool things in random other countries. Question 2 is, have you found a book that you think may be a 2024 favorite? If not, what was your favorite book you read that wasn't quite 5 stars? Okay, again, I can't think of a single book I've read this year because that's how my brain works. So let me just take a look-see at what my favorite books were. Okay, Ooh, I'm gonna use something actually that I read this last month that might be my favorite for the year. Again, it's way too early in the year to actually decide something like this, but I think so far, out of the 3 months of reading I've done, my favorite book would be The Weight of Blood. This one is by Tiffany D. Jackson. It is a young adult horror novel that is a reimagining of Carrie, and it's just so good. I highly recommend it. Now it's of course asking if I have any 1-star books or my least favorite of the year, and again, let's take a look. I don't tend to have a lot of 1 stars because I actively avoid reading things that I'm not going to enjoy. I have a couple of 2 stars from January, and yeah, those are the things with the least star rating on my spreadsheet. So we'll talk about those, which is rare because I like to pretend these books never happened. For nostalgia, I went back and reread my favorite Christopher Pike book, which is Remember Me, and then I knew that there were 2 books that came after that. I knew it was a trilogy, and I actually have this really big bind up of all 3 of the books, so I was like, I should definitely read The Return and The Last Story. And all I can tell you is the first book holds up. Book 2 and book 3, just pretend those books didn't happen. They're not good. They're not even good as continuations of the first book. And then they're just generally terrible other than that. If you want to hear me talk more about those, check out my January wrap-up because I'm pretty sure I went through a bunch of the issues. Also, whichever weekly wrap-up I would have done for that week because I would have read them all in 1 week. Yeah, just watch that, and I don't want to dwell on these anymore. They don't exist. Next, it's asking most read genre so far, and this is why I'm so happy that I have this spreadsheet. It's actually called the Spreadsheet of Doom, I think. And it's something I've been using since 2017, and I've just been updating it personally myself to reflect not 2017, 18, 19, 20, etc. I'm pretty sure it gets updated by the people who actually created it and like new features or whatever added, but I just want to be able to look at all of my data the exact same, if that makes any sense. But if I look at the charts, I can find this out pretty easily. This makes a lot of sense only because of how much horror I read this month by accident, because nearly 29% of my reading this year in total has been horror, which is the biggest chunk of the pie. We also have some mystery thrillers, some nonfiction, contemporary, fantasy, speculative fiction, romance, and historical fiction, but those pieces of the pie are much smaller. Even in terms of pages read, if you were to look at that instead of amount of books, horror is almost a quarter of what I read, and the only thing that comes close is mystery thriller, and it's maybe an 1/8. Oh no, what did I do? I just messed up my spreadsheet. Oh no, how do I undo? There we go, I fixed it. Next we have the prompt, a book that surprised you, and for this I'm going to go with Frindle. This is a kid's book that would have come out around the time that I would have been a kid and probably would have been applicable to something I would read around that time, but I don't think I did. And this is actually something I read for my 40 Before 40 TBR because I saw Ashley over at Bookish Realm talk about it and I thought I should put it on that list, so I did. And this was actually much deeper than I thought it was going to go. I thought it was just going to be a silly book about a silly kid deciding that all pens are now called Frindles, but this actually goes into like the wider ramifications of that happening in this kid's life, and I found that particularly surprising. Next we have book that's come out in 2024 already and you haven't read yet but you want to, and I do not keep really close track of things like this. Like, I know there are other books coming out later this year that I'm definitely interested in. I've pre-ordered a couple of things, but a book that's already come out and I'm interested in, I might have to skip this one just because I don't want to sit here scrolling my phone for ages and I don't know what's coming out this year. I do know just from browsing bookstores while we've been here that Millie Bobby Brown wrote a book and I do want to read that. However, I don't know if it came out this year because it's already been translated into French, so I have a feeling it maybe came out last year. I don't know. But that's my unofficial trying to answer, even though it's not really an answer. Next, we're asking for one goal you made that you're succeeding at. For me, this is not stressing out about posting my video absolutely everywhere on the internet after I've made it. Because that was at the end of the very long list of things I did to make a video, and it got to that point and I was just like, I don't care. I have a sneaking suspicion that the core like 40 people that actually watch my videos just actually watch my videos because they've been posted, not because I'm posting it on other locations. So that is definitely a thing that I've cut back on, and maybe my numbers have decreased a slight amount because I'm not posting it all over the internet. But I'm also kind of okay with that because it's not like this channel is going to suddenly become popular after 8 years of relative obscurity. It's also asking one goal you made that you need to focus more on, and can I remember my other goals for this year? I mean, we already talked about the whole I want to read 200 mostly to fill that cross-stitch project, so we're just gonna go with that. And finally, are there any new to you booktubers, bookstagrammers, or book talkers for 2024 that you recommend? I never really pay attention to when other people actually start their channels. They could be new to me this year, like I found them this year, but that doesn't necessarily mean that they started this year. So in lieu of answering this, let me just go through my subscription box and see who's posted recently, and to see maybe if they're one of the newer channels I've subscribed to. Let's take a look, see. The first one that really comes up is Labra, who I've been subscribed to for ages, so she doesn't count, but I do want to give her a shout out. Oh, Willow Talks Books is one that I've only been subscribed to for a little while. It might have been near the end of last year, and I have a feeling that I got to her channel via Olive from a book Olive, but I'm not entirely certain, but that might have been how that happened. She talks about a lot of books in translation, which is great because that is a goal of mine this year, is to read some more of those. Sean the Book Maniac, also not new to his channel, but he's great. Riley Reads and Runs is one that used to have a different channel name, I'm pretty sure, and I think she might have only started posting again kind of at the beginning of this year, so she might kind of count for this, or I just haven't seen her stuff for whatever reason because YouTube is hard. And because I could scroll forever, we'll also go with Margaret from The Word Nerd. Not one that I haven't been subscribed to for ages, but one that everybody should check out because she's cool. This book tag doesn't tell you to tag anybody, but I'm just going to use those people as the people I unofficially tagged to do this if you're at all interested in doing this video. That's it for this video, and my March reading wrap-up will be the next video that you see from me, so look out for that in your inbox soon. If you're not already subscribed to my channel, however, that could be a challenge, so make sure that you are subscribed. Also hit the like button if you feel so inclined. Tell me what you've been reading down in the comments below. You can do all of those things as you see fit, and I will see you very soon. Bye.